Hi everyone, my name is Matt and this is Starflight Creations, my channel where I talk about cross stitch. This is my update on everything that I have been stitching since December 6th. I've been trying to get this video out for a while, but things with work just kept switching around. My days off kept moving around to cover other people's vacations. And then with the holidays, it just kept not working out. So I am finally taking my last chance to get this one done because my next day off and my last day off before the new year will be Wednesday when I will do my whip parade. So I needed to get this one done before then. So we're here. So yeah, lots of plans were made this month, and then lots of plans were discarded. New plans were made, those plans were discarded. So it's just been a crazy month, and I am still finalizing the last of my 2026 plans. But to start with, I received my Winter Connection ornament gift exchange hosted by Jason X Stitches here on YouTube. I received it shortly after shooting my last video. The person who received my gift, which I sent off, which was my Mothman that I showed in the last video, was Jason himself. He did say a whole bunch of really nice things. If you have not seen that one on his channel, please do not go look at it. He does do quite a zoom in overhead on it, which really wasn't warranted with my stitching, no matter how many nice things he says about it. And I received a gift from Crafting with Rebecca from Australia. Her name is Rebecca Skur. Not sure on that last name, but she went overboard. And it was really funny because the only for the round robin, the only Zoom call that happened, I was one of two people who got on. And funny enough, the only other person who got on also made an ornament that was the other ornament that Jason X Stitches received. And she also received a gift from Rebecca, or an ornament from Rebecca. So that was really funny. But Rebecca sent a really nice card. She does a lot of paper craft as well as cross stitch. So it's a paper crafted card with a really nice message. And then she sent the ornament that she had made, which has this really cute little Rudolph. Nicely bound, felt backed. Feels like a engraved piece of wood that has been stitched on. So very nicely made and good quality. Will hold up for a while. And then she also sent a paper crafted ornament, which was really nice. And then a little pen with a koala, Brisbane, Australia. And then a nice little piece of silk floss, a skein of silk floss from Color Streams Silken Strands. This one is Seascape, which will be really interesting. I have never used silk before, so that will be fun to play around with. And then a couple of little cute bird stickers. And then a Australian magnet. So oh, and also a package of little Australian chocolates with Australian animals on the front of them. which I ate. So I was just overwhelmed as all this stuff kept coming out, and I wanted to give her a nice thank you for that. I did ask if she minded me dropping her name and link, and she said no problem. So I will link her. She doesn't have a Flosstube, I don't think, but she did have an Instagram, so I will link that in the description. So that was really fun to receive, and I was just really excited with that. Then, as for the round robin that I'm doing with Jason X Stitches, unfortunately, I have not put any progress into that. The piece I'm doing is the piece chose by Joan, one of the people I'm in connection with. It is Patchwork de la Plague, basically beach patchwork in French, by Jardin Pervet. I didn't pull out all the things to show you what it looked like and whatnot because I didn't do any stitching on it, which it is a really small piece, so I don't feel like I'm too far behind, but that is something that I will be jumping on going into January, into the new year, to make sure I do not fall behind. Just because I haven't heard a whole lot from the rest of the members of the group, so none of our group is really putting any pressure on it. No big, gotta get this done, really strict timetables. It's all kind of when things work for people. But I also don't want to just push it off and then end up having to scramble right at the end. So that will be something that I will be focusing on to keep that moving forward. Like I said, it's also a lot smaller than some of the other projects that were chosen, so I don't feel like I'm too far behind, but I will jump on that. So as for things I have actually stitched on, my main piece that I was working on a lot this month was my House of Book Dragons, which will look like this when it is all finished. The last time you saw it, it looked like this. So since then, I have put in 928 stitches. That number is slightly off. Over Christmas, I did discover that, I'll pop this back up again. My counting was off in both of the sides of the house. So this whole dragon and flame was too high up, and so I had to frog all of it. I moved the left side of the house there up just a slight bit, but I had to take that whole right side up to that little split, and then re-stitch everything, which I wasn't entirely too upset about. It was 427 stitches. It did take me over an hour to frog it. It was really frustrating, but my color choices for the dragon inside the house I was really happy with them when they were on the bobbins, but once they were stitched in, I wasn't entirely happy with them. The couple of the colors that were very distinct on the bobbin blended very well together onto the actual thing, and then the actual dragon itself melded really well into the fabric and made it harder to see than I really wanted it to be. But at that point I was like, oh, I'll just keep going, and worst case scenario I'll backstitch it. So when I had to frog that out, I wasn't extremely upset. Like, I thought about leaving it in there and just fudging it, but at that point when I was like, well, I'm already not happy with the colors and now it's off, and I just decided I would frog it. And so I have caught back up on the 427 stitches and then put in 928 more stitches into the project to bring it up to 2,543 stitches of the 5,933 total, which brings me up to 42.9%. But I have not put that dragon back in, just because I am still working out on a color conversion for that dragon that I will be happy with. But like I said, I put in this hole from that split all the way down, took it all the way across, and then to here, put that in. I put in the shelves, I put in the books, I did the cauldron and the little potions, and then the eyes of the skull, because I color completed 310, and then one of the other options for one of the other things that 310 was all of these little magic sparkles. They were called for in 310 in black. It was one of the color conversions that I made. Basically, I color converted the dragons, because both of the dragons were supposed to be purple, and I wanted them to be more like the fire lizards from Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern. So I made the one up here that looked more like a male into the bronze colors, and then the one that's a female was going to be the cream gold colors down here. So while I decide on a better choice for those gold colors, I haven't put that one back in. But then since the black didn't really stand out to me a lot for magic sparkles, I did use one of the purple, the darkest purple color that was called for in the dragons, to do the magic sparkles. And I really think that it did work out well as the magic colors. So I have got a lot of, like, both of those blues are now color completed. The black is color completed. The two browns in the house are color completed. So I did get a lot of it color completed, just working on it after Christmas Day and a little bit at work since then. So this will be kind of a continuing on project. I chose to start this one a while back just because I'd finally got my full finish on my big Harry Potter Letters from Hogwarts one. And I wanted to have that one hung up in the background so people could see, some of my stitches, since a lot of my stitches are either really big projects which I haven't got anywhere close to completing, or were gifts that I gave away. So I wanted to have something of mine to put up, but the size of that one doesn't really fit this area where I record, so I had to hang it up somewhere else. So I wanted something small that I could potentially have hung up where it could be in the background. So that's why I've been, putting a lot of effort into getting this one complete, just so that way I could have something to have in the background of my videos. That's my stitching. So that will be one of the things that will continue on into 2026 to get that one finished. The next one that I did was just one day's worth of stitching, which is the witchy stitcher. Oh, sorry, House of Book Dragons is by the Stitch Crypt. I didn't mention that, and it is on fabric that I hand dyed myself. I believe that one is 14 count fabric that I hand dyed myself. And then this is the tarot card frame by the Witchy Stitcher. It is on black fabric that I hand dyed myself, 18 count. This is what the whole piece will look like when it is finished. She did just finish releasing the devil, so I need to get a new fully finished piece, but this is what it will look like when it's all done. And I've just been trying to, I only pulled this one out, number one, because I like working on it, but number two, because I will be going to a cross-stitch retreat in April, and the main designer there is the Witchy Stitcher, and a bunch of the people who are going there have been stitching the whole frame. So like Joshua from Cross Stitch in Cambria and a couple of other people will have their full finished frames there to take pictures with, and so I kind of want to have mine will not be fully finished, not even just the frame, but I kind of want to have at least as much as I can, so that way there is a substantial amount rather than what I have now. But like I said, this is on a 16 count fabric that I hand dyed myself, and then fabric painted the gold onto it like it was stars. Yeah, that might make it so that way it doesn't bleed through the light. So last time I'd had my frame all the way up here. So what I did was I finally got the Fool, which is this first card here, into Pattern Keeper, and so I started that. I did put in only 88 stitches. I am now up to 204 stitches just because some of the frame I'd already put in up here and down along the sides, but that was part of the frame that I had already talked about in my last video, so those stitches were already counted for that. And so just this one card for the Fool is 4,735 stitches, so I'm at 4.31% with the 204 that I've got completed. But like I said, I put in 88 stitches that one day, and got, a start on that frame, which I just wanted to do because I had finally got that pattern in. After watching one of Crafting Emily's videos where she was talking about advanced options to get in, I went to go to do that, but I just used the legacy option to import, and it managed to pull it in. I did have to go through and assign the thread color to each symbol, but I had to do that when I input the frame into Pattern Keeper originally, so that was fine with me. So that is that one. So like I said, I will be trying to get some more progress on that, just that way when I go to the retreats it is a little bit more done. I would like to at least have that first card done and potentially more of the frame. And then the next one I did was an ornament that I was making for my mom. As I said during my last Flosstube, when I was telling her about the ornament that I ended up making and sending to Jason, she was like, why don't you ever make any ornaments for me? And I was like, or any cross stitch for me? And I was like, well, you never asked for any cross stitch. And she was like, well, that's because you choose really big projects that you never finish. Which I was like, oh, okay, ow. But then I did end up showing her a bunch of options. I had one from my Creepy Cryptid Christmas Ornament Collection by Lola Crow Studios that she had chosen. But then, like 3 or 4 days after she had chosen that, Lola Crow did put out 3 new Bigfoot ornaments. And so I showed her those 3, being like, well, do you like any of these Bigfoots better? And she did choose one of those. So I did buy that set of patterns and stitch that one, which I did stitch. There we go. That ornament. I did, like I normally do when I give a gift, fully finish it, give it to her, and not even think to take a single picture of it, which was a shame because I did, it was the first time I did a felt, it was my second ornament I've ever finished, and the last time I'd done I followed a tutorial I found where I cut out a piece of cardboard and covered that cardboard and put that into the back, and then just glued my fabric around the frame when I sent it to Jason. And this time I tried one where I just lace bound all of the excess fabric into the back and then whip stitched a piece of felt down onto it, which really worked out well. I was really happy with the way it turned out. So I will try and get some pictures of that from her and see if I can't pop that up in my next Flosstube. But that was 1,281 stitches that I did between the last time I posted and Christmas to get that one fully finished. The next one I did was an ornament that I chose to do for Megan. She's on here on Flosstube as MJ Stitches 23. So I chose to do this one from, this is the Just Cross Stitch by Teresa Winsler, 1995. Christmas ornaments. I had found this in my local thrift shop, which I never find cross stitch stuff. I'm like, if you do find some cross stitch stuff in there, it is a hoop. So to find actual patterns was amazing, and I was talking about this on one of the Zooms, and if you watched any of Megan's videos, you'll know she's a very enthusiastic, very excited person. She loves cross stitch. She loves learning new things. And so when I was talking about it, I was like, oh, I grabbed it because I recognized the name, Teresa Winsler. You know, really big deal in cross stitch. And then I started looking at it, and it's all specialty stitches, blended threads, beading. And I'm like, none of this stuff is I've done before, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to attempt all of that. And she was like, well, it's all just one stitch at a time. And I was like, well, yes, you're right there, but I typically like to have a project that has at max one new thing that I'm learning, like dye my own fabric, play around with gridding, change the count. And just, one new thing that I can try out and decide, do I like that, do I not like it, how does this work? But not long after that Zoom, on one of her videos, she had these little needle minders that she'd made for a retreat that she went to. And she gave one away as a giveaway, and I won that giveaway. And so I decided that I was going to make this up for her. Really get out of my comfort zone, experience new stitches, and then when I received the giveaway, I'd have her address to send it back. Unfortunately, I haven't heard from her for a while. I'm hoping that just with all of the, holidays and the busy time of the year this gets, that maybe she just hasn't had a lot of chance to look into her email or, get on Flosstube. So I have not fully finished the ornament, but that's only because I didn't have an address to get it to send off to. But I did finish all of the cross stitching and specialty stitches on the ornament. So actually it turned out really a lot better than I was thinking. The only specialty stitches that I really didn't like the way they turned out were the satin stitches. I could just not get the pattern to help me with those. They were supposed to turn into little diamonds. None of mine look like diamonds. But from far enough away, like where you'd see it on the tree or whatnot, it doesn't look too horrible. And all of the other ones turned out surprisingly really well, and I was really shocked at that. So I did purchase the beads, so I still have 70 beads that left to attach to it, and I have to do some back stitching. I was just going to leave the back stitching off, but in between these little pieces, like the back stitching is supposed to connect like there, and so I think if I just added those connections, it would look weird. So I am going to go and do the back stitching. There shouldn't be too much back stitching, and I don't really mind back stitching. I just was thinking like this project really didn't need it, but so I will go ahead and get that done and the beads done at some point, in the hope that I will receive word from Megan and then be able to send that off. But yeah, I was actually really surprised at the way that turned out. I don't have any stats on this one since it was a paper pattern, and I wasn't going to count off the stitches. Plus, there were a few days where I just stitched right up until the point that I was too tired, and I just kind of set it to the side and passed out. So I really was not entering any information in to my pen keeper at all. So there are some days in there where I have nothing put down for stitches, but I'm still pretty sure I actually did stitch on those days. But I don't have anything to definitively say yes I did. And there were a lot more days that I missed in December than I missed previously. I was doing my my stitchy game that I'd done, inspired by Jesse Marie's Does Stuff Milestone Manor, which I'm calling Dark Thorn Keep. But I put that on hold for December for the Christmas stitching, and I've really been missing that. It really had me a drive to keep me stitching every day. I was really touching some projects that I haven't touched on in a while, seeing a lot of big progress on them. So I was really happy with that. So I am looking forward to getting back into that. So that is all of the stitching that I have done. So now I will talk about haul. What do I have from haul? Well, I did receive just today, even though I ordered it quite a while ago, my t-shirt from Joshua from Cross Stitch in Cambria. Here's the front, and here is the back. He had this pattern designed and had it made by a printing company, and I was really excited about the design and really excited about the chance to wear it when I meet him in April at the retreat. So I was quite happy to support him on buying it there. I had quite a few issues with the printing company itself, and it sounds like Joshua and a lot of the other people who purchased from him also had it, so he is going to a new printing company. It sounds like he's getting something where he can have it printed by himself, and so he will be more in control of it, which will be great, and I will be really happy to support him with that in the future. I did order a solid black t-shirt, and the company didn't let me know that the solid black was sold out and they were having trouble resupplying it until they went to ship it, which was, I want to say, probably a month after I placed the order, if not more. And then at that point I reached out to them because they were like, we're going to ship your order within the next few days, here is, what we've substituted it with, and let us know if you have any issues. And so I reached back out to them immediately and was like, hey, I do have some issues. I really wasn't a big fan of the black tie-dye. Could I maybe get it on a solid gray or a solid brown? Any other solid color options you may have if the solid black is sold out, if you can't, get new stock in. And their just response was, we're going to send what we're going to send, and if you have issues, you can start returning when it receives to you. Which really rubbed me wrong for customer service-wise. However, I really can't hold that against Joshua. He has no control over that control. And like I said, I was really happy to support him. I really did like the design of the t-shirt. And at this point, I've just basically decided that having the t-shirt and the chance to wear it and do it is better than having no t-shirt. And so I will just wait until he can get to his own company set up and his own printing done, and go from there in the future. And I will just know that if anybody else chooses to use that company, I just will choose not to go through that company again. But it was really nice to get the shirt. It was really nice to support someone. Joshua has spoken about how he got into cross stitching because he was getting sober and it helped him keep sober, and he does the projects because he likes to show that it's not a granny hobby anymore. And that's kind of like why I got back into it, because when I got back into it, I remember when I was in high school and it was like the second time I learned how to cross stitch from my mom, and I was trying to find something, and all I could find was this one tiger pattern that I printed off from online, which I still have that pattern, but I showed it in my very first video, which was a whip parade, and the back on that is horrible, and I was not highlighting, but just taking a pen and crossing out the stitches as I completed them. So I'm not even sure if I would be able to redo that, because I tried to go and find that pattern again. I cannot find it again. So trying to figure out how to redo that would be hard. I probably won't finish that off, but I do have it on hand in case I ever do decide to just finish it. But forgot where I was going with this. But that was like the only thing I could find that really fit me. A lot of the other things were like the precious moments, cherubs and Bible verses and flowers, so many flowers. And I was like, I don't want to stitch any of this. And then when I got back into it in 2019, when I was working overnights at my work at Walmart, I picked it up off of kits that I found, and I think the first one I did was one where I had like a little cat face peeking over the frame of the hoop, which I did for a friend's birthday who loved cats. And then I did like a couple of like weddings ones and birth ones, and then I happened to one day find a cross stitch thing on Facebook, and then went down a hole and went really into Stuart Cunningham's stitch alongs, and was in there for a while. And then I found Flosstube, and then my world went crazy, and I found so many patterns that I believe I have already reached stable stash beyond life expectancy. But and then more keep coming out every day. So, like I said, it was really exciting to see his things where he was like, hey, look, I like stitching to remind people that this isn't a grandma hobby. And I resonated with that because a lot of my stitching doesn't fall within that category. And a lot of the things that I see him stitching, I'm like, oh, this is really exciting. Like when I saw him stitching the tarot frame with all the cards, I was like, oh my god, I really wanted to stitch that. And so I picked that up. Other things of haul, I did get 4 pieces of fabric that I will be doing for my new starts. And then I purchased the Yule Goddess from... It was the only big one that I purchased from the Jingle Ball. The other one I purchased was a set of 3D buildings that I want to do for my mom for Christmas for next year. But I did get the Yule Goddess just because I've seen Adelaide and Stitches was working on that for December, and someone else I am watching had just finished it, and so I was like, oh, like I want to get that pattern just because there's like this like designers out there that everybody seems to stitch. Like, everybody's got a Hayes going on. Everybody's got an Amy Stewart going on. Everybody's got a Long Dog going on. Everybody's got a tiny modernist going on. And, the Yule Goddesses are tiny modernist stitches, and so I wanted to have one of those. I've been picking up a few of the, one from each designer. Like, I picked up an Amy Stewart one that I want to start on sometime. I've picked up, or I am going to start a long dong for my new year. I've been slowly getting the big Stitch in ones, but I've been trying to find ones that I really wanted. That one I just got because I was at the Jingle Ball and I was like, oh, I've seen this, it looks really good, I want to stitch this. And then the other thing that I did buy was my House of Book Dragons. I did find, when I was going on the Stitch Crypt site for something else, I did find that she had uploaded the PDF pattern of this. And so I did go ahead and buy that. So I do have this paper pattern here. It is in pretty good condition. I have, not done anything onto the inside where the pattern is. I did just copy it and make a working copy, and I was working from that before I put it into Pattern Keeper. So I just crossed the 50 subscriber mark, and to celebrate that, I did want to do a giveaway. So if you would like to be entered into the giveaway to get this paper pattern of House of Book Dragons by the Stitch Crypt, use the keyword dragon in the comment. Please be over 18 so I can get your address so I can ship this off. That will be basically the restrictions. Don't use any of the big giveaways that will bring bots, like Win, Give Me, Giveaway, any of those. And yeah, just put it in there. At 50 I am a smaller channel, so you do have a better chance to win it. And yeah, it'll be fun to have someone else out there stitching this with me. And that was the last piece of physical haul that I have received lately. And that will take me into my plans for the new year. So I guess the big one to mention right off the bat is the Haid Sal. Like most of the other people, I did go into the Haid Sal because of FOMO. Because of the Amy Stewart exclusive chart that you could only get by being in the Haid Sal. I was going to stitch Veritas, the skulls. But on the 27th, they did release the full patterns for the chart you had chosen. They released the 3 patterns for the milestones for how many stitches there were. They did round up. We only got to 2,600 people subscribed to this Sal, but they did release the 3,000 pattern mark. And then they did decide to go ahead and release the one page, the one that was supposed to be for the completing one page, the exclusive Amy Stewart chart, to everybody who did the stitch along without making any of those people have to hit the requirements. So now I'm kind of in the conundrum. Do I go ahead and stitch the Haid Sal? I kind of was only doing it for the pattern. I haven't made a full decision on this. I'm kind of leaning towards don't stitch it, or at least don't stitch it right away. I may still stitch it in the future so I can give it to my friend who was going to... I decided, it was the reason I decided that one is because she likes skulls and morbid things like that. So I may, in the future, do it. I may decide to just go ahead and start the Amy Stewart one. I haven't made up my mind yet. I did look at those, and if I do decide to do those, I would choose to do the Supersize Max Color, which is a large piece. I do really like the pattern. I would love to have that one stitched and done. It would take a long time, especially with all my other really huge projects that I've all just got basically started. So I haven't decided on that yet. I am still trying to work it out. The things I have decided that are going to be new starts for me. My mom did purchase a cross-stitch pattern for me for Christmas. This one is Day and Night by Yasu Studios. And this was one that I really looked hard at when it first came out, and I really loved it, and I really wanted to start it immediately. But I really, I couldn't tell if it was AI, and that just kind of kept giving me the doubt that kept me from jumping on it. And then lately, with some more information, I went and did some more research, and as far as I can tell, the designer is just a Japanese watercolor artist who also does digital artwork. I cannot find anything where it says that he uses AI or does, has AI in his process. So as far as I can tell, he just does digital artwork, and they have turned that into a cross-stitch pattern. Heaven and Earth Designs was the one who charted it. So I am going to start that one. I had planned to start it right after Christmas, but with having to prog a bunch on House of Black Dragons, I just haven't got there yet. I am planning on getting this started soon. When exactly that is, I'm not entirely sure. The other one that I have an exact date that I'm going to start this one is Penance. It is the Long Dog. I was going to say the newest one, but they just put out a new small little one for Christmas. So it is the newest one before that. I do really love the Penance Light, where it's just cropped in on the elephants and the Pegasus, that little block. But I also really like the whole thing, so I did buy the fabric for the full thing, and I am going to stitch that. My plan so far is that I am going to hand dye fabric to make it a yellow gold background, and then I'm going to do the stitching in gray, or maybe a couple of different grays. I still haven't worked out my exact color options there, but that is what I am planning to do. That will be my New Year's start. I do know a couple of other people who are going to start that one on New Year's, so I will be excited to do that. And then the other one that I have decided to do is when I was at the Jingle Ball doing speed dating, I ran into someone, Selena from Selena's Spicy Crafts, here on YouTube and also Instagram, who had the exact same birthday as me. I think she's just a year younger than me. But we're both born on January 31st, and we both like dragons. So we decided, she had already had plans for a dragon Sal, and so I am joining her on that, and so we will be doing a start a dragon on, or stitch on a dragon that you have started on our birthday. I did have several dragon patterns that I was looking at. I hadn't decided which one I wanted to do. Mainly because I couldn't decide if I wanted to do another really big pattern, because I do have a lot of really big dragon patterns, or if I wanted to do another small dragon pattern. So I ended up sending 4 options to Selena and being like, here's what I'm looking at. What do you think? And she immediately was like, I like this one. And I was like, good. I had plans to start that one soon. I will start that on my birthday. And that one is Year of the Dragon by Yasu Studio. So I will be starting that for my birthday. It is a Heaven and Earth Designs. It was a free chart that they released at the beginning of 2024, when it was the Year of the Dragon. So those are the ones that I have planned to start. My stitching plans for 2026. One day per week, I want to work on the round robin, or at least one day every 2 weeks, just so that way I can make sure that that project keeps moving along. I want to have 100 stitches per week on tarot card frame. Whether or not that's the tarot card frame or the Fool, the card that I started, I have 100 stitches per week on that till April when the retreat is, just that way I can have more progress on that. I want to start up my Dark Thorn Keep again. I had a lot of fun with that and I've really been missing it. There are a lot of people who've done Stitchy games. I did go and look at a bunch of them. I am doing Wanderlust by Natasha. She has a Flosstube here that I will link where she talks about that. I have been doing that one, but I really haven't been doing a whole lot of it. I keep forgetting to go in and put in my photos in to, get the things, that way I can move on that. And a lot of the other ones that I've looked at, like I went and looked at the Threadweaver one. Just not a lot of ones were calling to me. The one that I have decided I'm going to do is the RPG character created by Uplift Stitches. It's a husband and wife, and the husband is the one who has got that game we'll have that game going. It's mainly where you will keep track of your stitches, and at the end of the month you will put them into a spreadsheet that he's got, and it will tell you something that you create for your character, a background, your race, something based off of how many stitches you hit that month. And however, like, you'll input your stitches and you'll get, points based off of where you fall within the range, and then those points will add up to an amount, and that amount will give you what you generated for your character. So I've decided I'm going to do that one because that one just requires me to keep track of how many stitches I did and then put it into the sheet that he's giving out to people. So I will do that one. I will continue into my Darkthorn Keep. I will probably keep going with Wanderlust just because it's really low stakes and you can go at your own pace. So even if I don't remember to do all of my that often, when I do go in and put it in, I will continue forward on there. A lot of the other ones, I've just decided I will let them pass me by. There were a lot of ones I looked at. I looked at Temperature Stitching. I looked at Flosstube Frenzy. My issue is that normally when I'm stitching, I am watching Flosstube. And there'll be lots of times where I'll be watching and I won't even think to stop stitching so that way I can go in and enter the giveaway to win things that I would like to win, because I'm just so focused on watching them and getting my stitches in. So I've just decided that Flosstube Frenzy won't work for me. A lot of the other ones, I've just decided that I've already got enough going on. I don't need something else to gear my stitches towards. Like I thought about the fandom stitching that I've been hearing about on various Flosstubes and whatnot. So I've just decided that I will keep my round robin, my tarot, and Darkthorn Keep. And then if something comes along, a Sal that I really want to keep up to date on, then I will start that then and add that in. And I'll have a little bit of space to work that in. So that's where I've decided going into 2026 is where I'm keeping it at now. The one thing that I did look at was WhipGo. I did decide not to do standard WhipGo. I did order off of Amazon a Advent calendar box set thing, and that is supposed to arrive sometime in January. I think it's like from the 7th to the 22nd, so it's basically all of January. So when that one arrives, I will fill that one up, and I'm going to do a Whip Go New Starts, because I do have a lot of patterns, and they just sit there, because I love all of them, and I can't decide which one should I start, when should I start it. So I'm going to let WhipGo decide that for me. So each month I will pull out 2 options and be able to know that within that month I'm going to start these 2 projects. So I will go and get my fabric, and I will go ahead and start those. The one that I know that I'm going to throw in there are my Amy Stewart Once Upon a Fairy Tale, the Haid Jungle Walk, which is a very colorful elephant that I want to have. I am going to throw in one of my dragon patterns that I have purchased off of Etsy. And then I've got a whole bunch more paper patterns that I purchased from Acorns and Threads, digital patterns that I've downloaded from Etsy and Heaven and Earth and other websites. And I'm going to fill up the rest of the days. I have not gone and looked at the dates that were already called for January, just so that way I don't have any bias when I start putting things into numbers and whatnot, so that way everything will be good. I am going to try, before the Advent calendar gets to me, to decide which projects I will have. I will just do 24 projects. I will probably leave off the 25, because I don't think that will come on, or my Advent calendar doesn't have that. So if she does call it 25, I will treat that like the 13 that people normally have as a free space. 25 will be my free space, and I'll just throw a different one in. So I will try and have my 24 new starts ready for that. And so that is my stitching plans. My Flosstube plans for the next year. On New Year's Eve, I will do my whip parade, go through all of the projects I have, and show those to you. I also really want to get a more consistent schedule going on for next year. I generally try and shoot for 2 weeks, and then something happens, and it seems to be that I'm always consistently hitting either 3 weeks or a month. And mainly it's because I think it's because I don't have a set date where I'm like, on this date I will record. At least most of the people that I've been watching on Flosstube seem to have a date that they do it, and so that way they know on that date I'm going to do it, or if they know I'm not going to be able to do it on that because of this, then they can work it to a different day and do that. So I have decided that I am going to do it on a Friday. Inventory Friday is normally my Monday, and it's my first day back at work. I feel that if I try and put it on a Thursday, that's when I normally get the most of my stitching done. Or it's a day where I'll go to a friend's house and do a craft day. So I don't want to consistently keep trying to rearrange my schedule so that way I can fit those stitching in. So I figure, if nothing else, if I get everything planned out Thursday night before I go to bed, Friday after I get home from work, I can shoot the video, upload it, edit it, and go to bed. Or not edit it, I do a format where I don't have any editing. So I can upload it and go to bed. So I've decided to give that a shot to see if I can get some more consistency going there. So I will be every 2 weeks on a Friday, hopefully then I will have a more consistent schedule. So that's what I've got going on. Reminder, drop the keyword dragon into the comments if you would like to be entered into the giveaway. I will doing it on Wednesday probably won't be enough time, so I will draw that on the first one that I do in January. And then so yeah, it'll probably be the 15th of January where I will draw that, and then I will get that sent out. And I will see you all then. Until then, happy stitching, and I hope you have a great New Year's.